I want to tell you a story about a young man who once sat on the edge of his bed at 200 a.m. staring into the dark. He had a dream so big that it scared him. He had plans, ideas, visions. But one voice inside kept whispering, "You can't do it. You're not enough. Who do you think you are?" He wasn't fighting the world. He was fighting himself. And maybe, just maybe, you know what that feels like. The voice that tells you to stop before you start. The whisper that says, "You'll fail anyway." The one that questions your worth every time you take a step toward greatness. We all have that voice. But tonight, I want to help you recode it. Because until you master that inner critic, your outer world will never change. You can't conquer the world if you haven't conquered your own mind. So let's begin this journey. A journey of truth, transformation, and total rewiring of how you see yourself. Recognize the voice, but don't believe it. You can't fight what you can't see. And the most dangerous battles you'll ever face are the ones inside your own mind. The first step in mastering your inner critic is learning to recognize that voice, not as truth, but as noise. That voice that tells you, you can't do it. You're not enough. You'll never make it. That voice that shows up right when you're about to take a risk, right when you're about to grow, right when you're about to rise. That's not you. That's the echo of your past fears. It's the residue of rejection. It's the memory of moments when you fell and didn't think you could get back up. But that voice, no matter how convincing it sounds, is not the real you. Let me tell you something powerful. Your mind is like a stage, and every day different voices try to take the microphone. There's the critic, the doubter, the fearful one. But there's also another voice. The believer, the fighter, the dreamer. The problem is, the critic speaks louder because it's trying to protect you. It's afraid of failure, afraid of pain, afraid of rejection. It thinks it's keeping you safe by keeping you small. But safety has never built greatness. Playing small has never changed a life. And when you allow that voice to control your decisions, you end up building a life that fits your fear instead of your faith in your own ability. The inner critic is clever. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It hides behind logic. Be realistic. It hides behind memory. Remember what happened last time. It hides behind perfectionism. It's not good enough yet. And every time you listen, every time you hesitate, it gets stronger. Because what you feed grows and what you ignore dies. The critic feeds on your attention, on your hesitation, on your need for certainty. But the moment you become aware, truly aware, that this voice is not you, it begins to lose its power. Awareness is the first weapon in your transformation. When you start to observe your thoughts without judgment, you begin to separate yourself from them. You realize that just because a thought passes through your mind doesn't mean it belongs to you. You can hear the critic without obeying it. You can feel the fear without surrendering to it. You can look that voice in the eye and say, "I hear you, but I choose differently." I remember a story about a man who wanted to start his own business. Every time he took one step forward, the voice inside told him he wasn't ready, that he didn't have enough money, enough knowledge, enough confidence. So he waited. And while he waited, life moved on. Opportunities passed. Years slipped by. Then one day, he looked in the mirror and realized something. The voice that told him he wasn't ready was still saying the same thing it had 10 years ago. That's when he understood the critic never stops talking. You just have to stop listening. You see, your critic doesn't disappear with success. Even the greatest people on earth hear it. The difference is they don't let it drive. They've learned to keep it in the passenger seat, to nod at it and say, Thank you for your concern, but I'm still going forward. That's mastery. That's mental leadership. Because the goal isn't to silence the critic, it's to stop believing it. Think about this. If you spoke to your friends the way you speak to yourself, would they still be your friends? Probably not. You would never tell them they're worthless, incapable, or doomed to fail. Yet you say those things to yourself every day. And then you wonder why you're stuck. It's not the world holding you back. It's the war in your own mind. Every time that critic rises up and says, "You can't," you have a choice. You can believe it and retreat, or you can challenge it and rise. You can look it in the face and say, "You're right. I might fail, but I'll fail moving forward." Because failure isn't the enemy, fear is. Fear disguised as that inner voice, trying to convince you that comfort is safer than courage. But what's the price of that comfort? A lifetime of what ifs. When you start to recognize that voice, you strip it of its disguise. You see it for what it is, an outdated program trying to run a new life. The voice was formed when you were young, shaped by criticism, comparison, and pain. But you're not that person anymore. You've grown. You've evolved. You've lived enough life to know that you are not your thoughts. You are the thinker. And once you separate your identity from that voice, you reclaim your power. You begin to talk back. You begin to stand taller. You begin to take steps that once terrified you. Because the moment you stop believing the critic, you start believing in yourself. That's the first step in recoding your mind. Awareness. Recognizing that the voice isn't truth. It's just a habit. And like any habit, it can be broken, replaced, rewritten. The critic will still whisper, but it won't control you anymore. You'll hear it and smile because now you know that voice is just fear, and fear only has the power you give it. So the next time that critic rises up inside you, take a deep breath and remember this: you are not the voice. You are the one who decides who speaks. You are the author of your thoughts. You are the programmer of your mind. And you, yes, you have the power to take back the microphone and tell a new story. A story not of doubt, but of destiny. A story where the inner critic doesn't get the final word. You do. Change the questions you ask yourself. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself every single day. Most people don't realize that the human mind is like a search engine. Whatever question you type in, it will give you an answer, whether it's true or not. If you ask, "Why am I such a failure?" your brain will pull up every memory, every moment, every tiny mistake to prove that you are. But if you ask, "What can I learn from this?" or "How can I turn this around?" your brain begins to search for solutions, for growth, for possibilities. The difference is not in what happens to you. It's in the question you ask yourself afterward. Your inner critic thrives on destructive questions. It feeds on, "Why can't I?" and "What if I fail?" It survives because you unknowingly give it the microphone every time you ask yourself something that limits your vision. But when you learn to change those questions, you change your state, your emotions, and your direction. Because the questions you ask determine what your mind focuses on, and whatever you focus on expands. There was a man who lost his job after 15 years of loyal service. He sat on his couch, broken, and kept asking himself, "Why did this happen to me? Why can't I catch a break?" And every time he asked, his brain echoed back, "Because you're not good enough, because you always fail, because you're unlucky." He started to believe that story. Weeks passed, then months, and his energy drained away, until one day, out of sheer exhaustion, he asked a different question. "What if this is happening for me, not to me?" That question changed everything. Suddenly, Instead of feeling like a victim, he started to see an opportunity. Maybe it was time to chase that dream he'd been putting off. Maybe it was time to start something of his own. Within a year, that same man built a small business that brought him more joy and purpose than any job ever had. What changed? Not the situation, the question. You see, the mind follows the direction of your dominant questions. When you wake up and ask, "Why am I tired?" your mind finds reasons to stay tired. But if you ask, "What can I do right now to feel more alive?" your brain starts finding answers that create energy. It's not magic, it's focus. You move toward what you think about most. And what you think about most begins with the questions you ask yourself. Every time you face a challenge, your inner critic will try to guide the conversation. Why even try? What's the point? What if you mess up again? Those questions sound harmless, but they are traps. They keep your mind searching for excuses instead of solutions. So, what if you flip the script? When that critic says, "What if you fail?" you respond, "What if I succeed?" When it says, "Why even bother?" you ask, "What if this is the moment that changes everything?" That simple shift turns fear into fuel. It turns hesitation into hope. Your mind is obedient. It will always answer the question you give it. If you ask disempowering questions, you'll live a disempowered life. But if you ask questions that ignite courage, creativity, and growth, your entire mindset transforms. Instead of asking, "Why me?" start asking, "Why not me?" Why not be the one who breaks the cycle? Why not be the one who rises despite the odds? Why not be the one who rewrites the story? There's something extraordinary about people who think this way. They face the same pain, the same rejection, the same fear as everyone else. But they ask different questions. When life knocks them down, they don't ask, "Why did this happen?" They ask, "What can I do with this?" And that one question opens a door where others see only walls. Let me tell you a truth. Your inner critic cannot survive in a mind that constantly asks empowering questions, because those questions force your brain to look forward, not backward. They focus on creation, not destruction. They shift your energy from victimhood to victory. When you ask better questions, you begin to see the world differently. You begin to see yourself differently. Think about a time you made a mistake, something you regretted deeply. Most people would ask, "Why did I do that?" Or, "How could I be so stupid?" But the real question should be, "What can this teach me?" Or, "How can I make this right?" Those are the questions of growth. Those are the questions that turn pain into purpose. So the next time you catch yourself asking questions that make you feel small, stop, take a breath, then ask again. But better, ask something that moves you toward the person you want to be. The person who learns, who adapts, who rises. Because the truth is, life will always answer the questions you dare to ask. If you ask for excuses, you'll find them. If you ask for strength, you'll find that too. If you ask, "How can I make today count?" you'll start noticing opportunities you used to overlook. Reprogramming your mind isn't about deleting your inner critic. It's about outsmarting it. And the smartest thing you can do is take control of the questions that voice is allowed to answer. Feed it hope. Feed it courage. Feed it curiosity. Because when your questions change, your mindset changes. And when your mindset changes, your life will never be the same again. So the next time that inner voice whispers, "What if you're not ready?" smile, take a deep breath, and ask back, "What if I am?" Your mind is a program. Rewrite it. Your mind is the most powerful computer in existence. It remembers everything, stores everything, and runs your entire life through invisible lines of mental code written by your past experiences. Every belief, every fear, every habit, They are all programs running quietly in the background, shaping how you think, how you act, and ultimately how you live. The truth is, most people are not living by choice. They are living by programming. They wake up every day and repeat the same patterns, not because they want to, but because somewhere deep in their subconscious, an old story keeps pressing. Replay. Think about it. When you were a child, your mind was wide open. Every word you heard, every emotion you felt, every success and failure wrote a line of code inside your brain. If you were praised, the code said, "I'm capable." If you were criticized, the code said, "I'm not enough." Over time, those codes became beliefs, and those beliefs built your reality. Now, as an adult, you're running on a mental operating system that was designed by your past. You're trying to create a new life using outdated software. And no matter how hard you push, no matter how much you want to change, you keep crashing back into the same habits, the same doubts, the same fears. Because the code hasn't been rewritten yet. But here's the good news. You are not your programming. You are the programmer. You have the power to rewrite every single line of that mental code. You can uninstall old beliefs and install new ones. You can delete "I can't" and replace it with "I will." You can rewrite "I'm not good enough" into "I am growing stronger every single day." You can choose a new identity. And when you do, your life starts to follow. The problem is, most people try to change their lives without changing their programming. They try to build confidence on a foundation of self-doubt. They try to achieve greatness while repeating, "I'm not ready." In their minds, that's like trying to run new software on a corrupted system. It just won't work. Real transformation doesn't start with willpower. It starts with reprogramming. Every time you speak, every thought you repeat, every emotion you feed, you are writing new code. That's why affirmations, visualization, and daily habits matter. They are not just motivational gimmicks. They are rewiring tools. When you repeat something often enough, your subconscious mind accepts it as truth. If you constantly say, "I can't," your mind believes it. But if you train yourself to say, "I can and I will," your brain begins to search for ways to make that true. The same way repetition once created your doubts, repetition can now create your power. There was a time when I used to wake up and say, "Here we go again." Tired of the same routine, the same struggles. And all I got was more of the same. Then one day I decided to change one line of that code. Instead of saying, "Or we go again," I started saying, "I'm grateful for another chance to grow." It felt strange at first. My mind resisted it, but I kept going. I repeated it until one morning it didn't feel forced. It felt real. My energy shifted. My decisions changed. My results changed. One simple line of mental code rewired my entire outlook. Your mind doesn't care whether the code is positive or negative. It just follows instructions. It doesn't argue. It obeys. That's why you have to become intentional about the thoughts you plant. The critic will always try to feed your mind viruses of fear and insecurity. But you have the antivirus awareness and choice. You can't stop negative thoughts from appearing, but you can refuse to let them install. When your inner critic says, "You'll never make it," pause and rewrite it. Say, "Learning how to make it." When it says, "You're too late," rewrite it again. "I'm right on time for my destiny." Every time you rewrite the code, you weaken the critic's hold and strengthen your command over your life. Because your subconscious doesn't respond to what's true. It responds to what's consistent. What you repeat, you believe. What you believe, you become. Imagine your life as a program being updated right now. Every decision you make, every word you speak, is a line of code shaping the next version of you. The old version might be full of fear, self-doubt, and hesitation. But you can upgrade it. You can choose courage, faith, and discipline as your new default settings. You can design your thoughts to serve your purpose instead of your pain. You are the architect of your inner world. And if you can change the inside, the outside will follow. Your critic wants to keep you running old software because it knows that once you rewrite it, you'll outgrow every limitation it ever placed on you. So, every morning, before you face the world, face your own programming. Ask yourself, what kind of code am I writing today? Will I fill my mind with doubt or with possibility? Because the life you experience is only the visible reflection of the code you run invisibly every day. You were not born with fear. You learned it. You were not born doubting yourself. You were taught to. And if you learned it, you can unlearn it. If it was written once, it can be rewritten. That's the power you hold, the power to reprogram, to transform, to rise. So take control of your mind. Rewrite your story line by line, thought by thought, word by word. Because the most powerful upgrade in the world is not in technology. It's in your mindset. And when you finally recode your mind, your inner critic won't stand a chance. You'll be running a new program. One built not on fear, but on freedom. Challenge your limits through action. There comes a moment in every person's life when thinking is no longer enough. You can dream about change, talk about change, and even plan for change. But until you act, nothing shifts. The inner critic thrives on hesitation. It feeds on inaction. It wants you to stay stuck in the comfort of your thoughts because it knows that once you move, once you take action, its power begins to fade. The critic lives in your head, not in your steps. The moment you step forward, you start starving it. Because action is louder than doubt, stronger than fear, and more convincing than any voice that says, you can't. Let me tell you something powerful. Clarity doesn't come before you move. It comes because you move. Most people wait for the perfect moment, the perfect feeling, the perfect level of confidence before they start. But that moment never arrives. You don't wait to feel ready. You become ready by starting. The truth is, you can't think your way into courage. You have to act your way into it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward in spite of it. The critic inside you whispers, what if you fail? And your answer must be, then I'll learn, it says. What if they laugh at you? You reply, then I'll keep growing. Because when you act, even imperfectly, you silence that voice more than any amount of reasoning ever could. Action builds evidence, and evidence builds belief. Every step you take, no matter how small, becomes proof that you can. Think about the first time you learned to ride a bike. You didn't learn by reading a book about balance. You didn't master it by watching others. You learned by wobbling, falling, scraping your knees, and getting back up again. Every time you fell, you learned something. Every time you tried again, you improved. That's how growth works. The problem is, as adults, we forget that. We become afraid of looking foolish, afraid of failing in front of others. So, we let the inner critic convince us to stand still. But standing still doesn't keep you safe. It just keeps you stuck. Every great achievement in history began with action that didn't look perfect. The Wright brothers didn't know their plane would fly. Edison didn't know which of his thousands of experiments would finally work. They moved anyway. They acted through the uncertainty, through the criticism, through the fear. Because they understood that action isn't just motion. It's transformation. Each step changes you. Each attempt teaches you. Each movement forward makes you more capable of the next. You might say, but what if I'm not ready? Let me tell you, no one ever feels fully ready. Readiness is a myth created by fear to keep you from trying. The truth is, you prepare as you go. You learn while doing. The first time you speak, you'll stumble. The first time you create, it might not be perfect. The first time you take a risk, your hands might shake. But that's what growth feels like. It's uncomfortable because you're stretching beyond your old limits. Action is how you challenge those limits. When your critic says, stay safe, action says, let's explore. When the critic says, you're not good enough, action says, watch me get better. And when the critic says, you'll never make it, action answers, I'll prove you wrong. The critic can't survive in motion because the moment you move, it loses its grip on you. I remember hearing about a young woman who wanted to start a fitness journey but kept talking herself out of it. She'd say, I don't have the time, or I'll start next Monday, or what if I fail again? The critic had her chained to her comfort zone. One day, she decided to take one small step, just 5 minutes of walking. That was it. The next day, she did 10 minutes. Weeks later, she was jogging. Months later, she was running marathons. She didn't destroy her inner critic by arguing with it. She defeated it by acting in spite of it. That's the secret. Momentum. Once you start, you create motion, and motion creates motivation. You don't need to feel inspired. Before you act, and inspiration follows. That's how the human mind works. It's not thought that leads to action. It's action that reshapes thought. The critic will always give you reasons to stop. It will tell you the timing isn't right, that you don't have enough experience, that it's too late or too early. But every excuse is just fear in disguise. And fear only wins when you don't move. If you want to rewrite your life, you've got to learn the language of motion. Because action is not just what changes your circumstances. It's what changes you. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, you're sending a message to your mind. I'm in control now. You're training your brain to associate action with empowerment instead of fear. You're creating a new identity. One built not on hesitation, but on momentum. That's how confidence is built, not from success, but from showing up. So take the step, make the call, start the project, say yes to the thing that scares you. Because if you wait until you're fearless, you'll wait forever. Fear doesn't disappear. It just loses power over the one who moves anyway. And when you start living like that, when you move even with shaking hands, when you act even with doubt in your chest, something amazing happens. The inner critic goes silent because it can't argue with evidence. It can't argue with a person who keeps moving forward. So, stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for perfect. Life rewards the doors, the movers, the ones who dare to act while others hesitate. The only way to challenge your limits is to move beyond them. And when you do, you'll realize something profound. The critic was never stronger than you. It only sounded that way when you were standing still. Turn your inner critic into your inner coach. The final and most powerful transformation comes when you stop trying to silence your inner critic and start learning to use it. The critic will never fully disappear. It's a part of you. But what if that voice that once tore you down could begin to lift you up? What if the same energy that once made you doubt yourself could become the force that drives you to rise higher? That's the secret of mastery. Not destroying the inner critic, but transforming it into your inner coach. You see, the critic's voice often comes from fear, but behind that fear lies care. It wants to protect you from failure, rejection, and pain. But protection isn't the same as growth. The critic tries to keep you safe inside comfort. The coach pushes you to expand beyond it. When you understand this difference, You stop fighting your critic like an enemy and start training it to serve you. Instead of letting it paralyze you, you make it push you forward. Every time that voice says, "You can't do this," you can reframe it into, "This is going to challenge me, and that's exactly why I must try." When it says, "You're not ready," you can answer, "Maybe not yet, but I'm learning faster than ever." When it says, "You'll fail," you respond, "Then I'll fail forward and rise wiser." The transformation happens in the dialogue you choose. You stop taking the critic's words as commands and start turning them into cues for growth. Imagine your mind as a training ground. Every thought is like a coach shouting instructions. The old critic says, "You're weak." The inner coach says, "That means it's time to get stronger." The old critic says, "You're behind." The inner coach says, "Then let's catch up with focus and consistency." The difference isn't in what's said, it's in how you interpret it. The moment you change the tone of that voice, you take back power over your thoughts. You become the captain, and your mind becomes your crew. This transformation requires awareness. You can't change what you don't notice. So the next time you hear your critic, don't push it away. Pause and listen. Ask yourself, what is it really trying to say? Is it warning you, challenging you, or testing you? Because most of the time, it's not trying to stop you. It's asking you to prove how much you really want this. It's your inner resistance. And resistance is a sign of importance. The greater the resistance, the more the task matters to your growth. Think about athletes before a big competition. Their minds are filled with tension and doubt. That voice whispers, "What if you lose?" But they